What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Cyberpunk's nominations for the Game Awards and talk about how basically I'm just not in support of it. I don't think it's possible to make a video like this without making some people upset, but I want to try and make it very clear of where I stand. I'm not doing this just to like hate on Cyberpunk, just to constantly talk down to it, although maybe that happens in this video. But I have nothing against people who like it, people who thought it was a good game, people who still play it. All that stuff is completely fine. I honestly have nothing against it. But this really touches upon a couple different issues I have really with the Game Awards themselves, okay? I've actually been a self-proclaimed Jeff Keighley fanboy on the channel. I really have liked him for a long time, and I've supported a lot of the stuff he's done, but that doesn't mean I think everything he's done is awesome. I think there's been plenty of things that are questionable. This is one of the issues with the Game Awards that I've always had, and it's a very simple, although of course in my normal nature of just rambling, I'm probably going to extend it. I don't agree with the idea that if a game comes out in 1 year, it should be nominated another year. I think that's just, in my opinion, common sense. I made a video on my second channel yesterday where I kind of touched upon it, where I get it. Grammys, Emmys, Oscars, it is a thing where, it's basically it's almost within a calendar year, not so much that it is within, like 2021, 2020, etc., right? It's within like a 12 or so month span, which is not really, I would say when you say Game Awards 2021, and you're talking about the games that were released in 2021, only to have a 2020 game on there, I think you look a little stupid. That's at least, in my opinion, that's how it works. Now you could say, well, Alex, what about games that missed the cutoff? Now, I am not a fan. I understand why the cutoff happens, but I'm not a fan of it, right? I do think it's understandable. You have to have played these games, and say you have a game like Halo Infinite, the campaign comes out the day before the Game Awards. So obviously, can the campaign be nominated for really anything when it comes out a day before? Nobody has enough time to play it. You can't, you got to think about also like the show part. Like you have to make graphics and it works its way into the show. It's not going to work. So I understand it. I just think it's stupid. I mean, I think if a game comes out in the year, it should count towards that year. It shouldn't count towards the next year. It shouldn't miss entirely. That actually would be where I stand, and that's what I said in yesterday's video, where it's like if a game like Cyberpunk, like Halo's single player, if it comes out at a time where it gets cut off from the current year, you could say, well, Alex, I want it to be acknowledged for something, so it should be for the next year. My counter would be, how about just not nominate it at all? Because here's a shocker for you, and I do think actually a fair amount of people would agree with this. Nobody actually cares about the nominees, about the categories, and about who wins. I know that actually goes very much against Jeff Keighley's want for it. I think if we're all being very fair with ourselves and we're being real, people watch the Game Awards for the new stuff. That's just, you can like it or hate it, but that's why people watch it. That's why it's so big. They're not watching it to see The Last of Us get 40,000 awards like last year. And I'm not saying anything against it. That's making a joke, but it's also being factually correct. You know what I mean? So that's, in my opinion, that's just how it is. And again, how does that connect? It's like Cyberpunk just shouldn't be nominated at all. That, in my opinion, it missed last year because of a dumb cutoff. Granted, I understand that, but it should not count towards anything this year because it did not release this year. Now I stand strongly with everything I just said, and that's a big part of my fundamental arguments of any award show in the world, okay? However, there is a part 2 to this, and this does get more to the maybe bashing of Cyberpunk, but I'm going to watch, what I say just to kind of be, fair to people. But here's what I'll say. A game that did what Cyberpunk did, I don't know if it should ever be nominated for anything, because you're kind of, and this is a slippery slope, because I know there are some people that told me, like, by nominating it or having it be one of the nominees, you're giving like eyes to it, right? You're kind of like saying, hey, look, they did something special in a good way. They did something special for whatever categories. Now, I believe they were nominated for like music and then role playing. I don't really understand the music or soundtrack thing. I know when I talked about it in yesterday's videos, I said like Life is Strange's music not being, or like Life is Strange not being a nominee is crazy to me, because that's one of the standout things in Life is Strange. So to me, that's a very easy swap. Role-playing, I haven't played a lot of role-playing games this year, but I'm sure you could have found a game to replace Cyberpunk with. And again, that goes to both arguments. It didn't release this year, so it shouldn't count. And then you look at it and you say, well, did it do anything particularly well? And that gets into a gray area, and that gets to an opinionated territory, right? It's depending. Now, I will say for me personally, I did not like the game. I didn't play it much, but it just was a game that just turned me off immediately. Functioning wise, it wasn't horrible, but obviously I saw a lot of the stuff that went around the internet, but I just also didn't really get grabbed by it at all. It didn't just, it just, for me, it didn't even make an impact. Like, it wasn't a strong enough game. But that's just my own, personal opinion. I do get that, though. I get the side that would say, a game that, I think specifically, right, because of the launch. They launched, it obviously wasn't ready to launch. Realistically, maybe it would launch like right now and still not be in the greatest condition of all time. But the fact is, it released way too soon, and I think everybody would acknowledge that. You know what I mean? I just feel like that's kind of a given. And so I guess the question would be, do you realize that and say, well, we could still nominate it for like the good that it did? Or is it kind of like that eyesore where it's like, well, we don't really want to incentive, like, it's in a way, it's like incentivizing, or like saying like, you can do all this stuff, but we'll forgive you. In fact, not only will we forgive you, but we'll put you on select nominees for the Game Awards. You know what I mean? Now, again, I don't care. I don't care about these awards. I don't care who wins them. It literally means nothing to me. So all of this stuff is honestly just in good fun, and just what I thought would be a fun video and discussion, to have with you guys. So, at the end of the day, do I care that it's nominated? Not really, because ultimately I don't think it should be anyway, because it didn't release this year. I don't make any game-based buying decisions off of who wins at the Game Awards. I would never do that. I would never choose, Cyberpunk won Best Role-Playing Game at the Game Awards a year after it came out in the wrong year. That means I have to buy it. It's like, who in their right mind, does that? I think that's really, to me, going a little off topic, but still kind of, that's really what signaled, like, with The Last of Us. That's what The Last of Us signaled last year. It's like, all it really means to anybody, or the only people it does mean to, is the Neil Druckmanns, the Laura Baileys, the people that worked on, like, which granted, I mean, it must be nice, and then you're in that situation. This is your award show. I mean, if there was a YouTube award show for best whatever, I was nominated or whatever, I can understand how you have like a stake in it, but I mean, in reality, what it affects to us, like the people that just play these games, it means absolutely nothing. But I still think it's stupid. I still think it shouldn't be nominated, and I'm somewhat on the agreement that it's such a kind of a game that just should never be replicated in the way that it was, that I don't really know if saying, hey, well, it had maybe the best audio of last year, best music, it's like, well, did it? And, like, even if it did, should you still nominate? You know what I mean? Like, it would be actually, this would be like a fast-forwarding event, like the GTA trilogy. Like, does that get nominated for something, say, next year, or does it get nominated at all anywhere? Because, yeah, sure, maybe there's some good in it, and maybe some people like it, but I don't think any remaster collection should ever be what this GTA trilogy over the last couple weeks was. You never should repeat it. So, like, should you say anything positive? And not even just that. I guess you can say positive, but should it be up for, like, awards? Like, and especially if you want to go all in, right? This is the gaming award show. Like, this is it. This gets 80 to 100 million people. This is the one. There's no comparable. This is the gaming award show, and you're putting it up on this pedestal when it was kind of something that you never want to happen in the gaming industry again. And again, I'm not guilting you if you like it, and now you're like, oh, Alex says you should hate it. No, I'm not saying that at all. You can do whatever you want, but you see what I mean? So personally, I don't like it whatsoever, but at the same time, do I really care? Only enough to make this video, and then that's kind of it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure you're subscribed, bell icon turned on. If you want to follow me on any of my other social media, I have a Twitter, I have a second channel. We also have Patreon and YouTube memberships. Links are all in the description below. Thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I hope to see you all on the next video.